Wrexham by Ian Lucas, a long-standing Labour MP until he stepped down this week, and who this year was part of the parliamentary inquiry into disinformation, which looked at Russian interference in overseas elections. And Ian Lucas, let's start with that point made at the end of Mark Urban's report by Dominic Grieve. I mean, what would you think if this ISC report doesn't see the light of day?
Well, I'd be deeply disturbed if it didn't see the light of day, but it would be just the latest episode in a long series of efforts by this government to suppress information relating to the 2016 referendum, to suppress information about Russian interference, and not to take action to defend our democracy.
Because what do you think the ISC are likely to have found?
Well, I think what they will have found is what was found by the US Congress when they looked at the US presidential election in 2016, that there has indeed been Russian interference. We looked also in our reports from the DCMS Select Committee on disinformation at the interference from Russia, and there's a huge amount of evidence, which is detailed in the reports if viewers want to see it, of the steps that were taken by Russia to interfere in democratic elections in Europe and in the UK in the period between 2015 and 2018. So what we wanted the government to do was to have an independent inquiry into those elections to safeguard our democracy. But again and again, the government has been determined not even to look at these issues, despite the interference that has taken place in the UK, for example, such as the Skripal attacks. It's quite extraordinary that they will not look at this issue, which is accepted in other places in the world.
But it is, in terms of this ISC report, it's a complicated report. It likely requires checking over. The Prime Minister's just called the general election. It's probably not high on his list of priorities to publish this. Why do you not accept that view?
Well, I think it's high on their list of priorities to make sure that this report is not published, because Boris Johnson and Michael Gove were central players in the 2016 referendum, and they are now the central players in the Conservative campaign in the general election. They want to avoid any discussion, any investigation into the Vote Leave referendum in 2016.
But you want a second referendum, don't you, Mr. Lucas? I mean, are you not just pushing this line to undermine the 2016 vote because you want a second referendum?
Well, what I want is an investigation, which is something that I've asked for and the committee has asked for a number of years now, into the interference that seems to be accepted in other democracies across the world, because we don't want this election to be interfered with in the same way.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, how do you tell if Russia, for example, is interfering in this election?
Well, the first thing to say is our laws have not been changed since 2016 because this government hasn't carried out a proper investigation. And because our laws haven't been changed, we're in no better place to defend our democracy from overseas interference than we were then. Now, that's a dereliction of duty, and it's been motivated by a political approach from the government based upon ensuring that the Brexit referendum is not looked at again. I really believe that the time has come for Boris Johnson and Michael Gove to come clean on their role in the 2016 referendum, to explain why it is that they will not accept the interference that's been accepted in the United States for some years now, that same level of interference could have happened here, and that we need to do something about it.
Your report found multiple concerns about Russian interference. How do you measure influence? I mean, your committee must have looked at that. How do we know kind of what the influence was, but also does it make a difference, actually?
Well, does it make a difference? We've had incredibly unexpected election results every time since 2015 in this country, 2016 in the referendum,
you believe that's down to
2017.
Interference?
I don't know whether it's down to interference or not. I'm simply pointing out that we began to see activity relating to interference from Russia in the period from 2015. We've also had a number of unexpected election results. We know in the United States, another unexpected election result in 2016.
Perhaps, but not to other people.
Well, the 2016 presidential election was also unexpected. All I'm asking is that these matters are investigated fully and independently. That's what the DCMS Select Committee asked for and what the government has resisted. And I also want Boris Johnson and Michael Gove to come clean about their role in the 2016 referendum campaign. Now, I've been pressing them both in Parliament and in writing for months now, and they have avoided all of the facts that I've put to them, none of which have been contested by them. These are really crucial issues at the start of a general election campaign, and it's about time these questions were put to them direct by the press.
Ian Lucas, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.